What's up, YouTube? I'm here with another video. You know, your man's door killing anime, and I'm up here with another video, and it's a character profile which you guys like, and I'm going to be talking about a very prevalent character, not only in the YouTube anime community, not only in anime history, but from a global international aspect, one of the most famous anime characters of all time, Vegeta from the series of Dragon Ball Z. And I'll be talking about Vegeta specifically because I've been hyped up for the DBZ Battle of the Gods movie. You know, I want to see it out yet. It hasn't come out yet, and I've been looking back on a couple YouTube videos with my favorite Dragon Ball Z characters: Gohan, Trunks, Goku, Gogeta, and I just been looking at Vegeta, and I'm like, oh, this guy, he's had one of the most impressive beats, the most impressive types of character development, story-wise and character-wise, that how could I forget to talk about him? How could I not talk about Vegeta? No, worthless fools, you mortals! Worthless mortals of you! I'll crush you, and I'll throw you into the wind. Like, come on now. You know, I know it sounds like a little more grungier, my voice, but that was my best Vegeta impression, so fuck that. Alright, so Vegeta from the series of Dragon Ball Z, it may have been overdone, it may have been abused, that horse may have been beaten to death, but I'm going to review how Vegeta has gone through specific character development, how he's gone through character development progression, how he's facilitated the story, how he's driven the story, which type of setting he was in, his introduction, and overall how I can classify him in that. Now this discussion has limits, which I will tell you about right now. The discussion basically, and this is where I turn into my analytical mode, the discussion basically is from the beginning of DBZ, when Raditz would invade the Earth, all the way onto, let's see, DBZ, the regular DBZ ending with the Buu Saga. We're not going to carry on from anything from Dragon Ball GT or any other type of fan-made series or any other type of movie. It's strictly going to be canon, and we're going to have it from the manga, and we're going to have it from the anime. But I'll be referencing more of the anime, since that's my prime retrospective for this video. So let's get down to it. When I'm looking at the character of Vegeta, you can see at the beginning where Goku was being introduced as a Saiyan, and we had his brother come in, Raditz, and it took him a very hard-fought battle with Goku and Piccolo to defeat Raditz, and they barely won that battle. And just as we learned that Raditz is dead, and Goku is dead, and Piccolo's the only one alive, and Krillin is there, we learned that two other Saiyans are coming. And further along the series, we get introduced to them as being Vegeta and Nappa. Who you gonna call? Ghost Nappa! I'm sorry, but Vegeta and Nappa are there. They're traveling the planets, and Goku has a year to train in order to face these Saiyans who are coming to Earth in order to fulfill any of their wishes for the 7-star Dragon Balls. The year passes, Goku gets close, and then the Saiyans come, and they come to Earth, and as we know, they cause mass mayhem, they're bloody murderers, they're super strong. And Vegeta, who hardly fights during the first phase of the battles, after Nappa gets killed by, hold on, my camera's a little shaky. What the hell? What the hell? Am I reviewing shit? Sorry guys, it's canon. You know, it's canon material, so I can't change the shit. I'm Kishimoto with this shit. I just have random filler moments like this. But remember, all the quality with none of the filler. Okay, back to it. Vegeta gets most of his introduction to where we see after Nappa dies, and it's a battle frontier versus Goku and Vegeta. Then we get to see how strong this enemy force and this antagonist at the time, Vegeta, comes afoot, and he battles in and he goes against Goku, where they pushing Goku with his limits with this Kaioken ×1, ×2, ×4, pushes him to the limits. And as you know, just Vegeta is a cunning enemy, being naturally strong, being naturally fit, being a natural warrior, being able to facilitate his own moon in order to change into a Great Ape, controlling his Great Ape form. You know, just Vegeta is introduced as an overall good character as far as battle prowess, battle instinct, knowing his awareness, and just brute strength at all, and quickness. And Goku's threat to protect the Earth, you know, he really couldn't do the fight with himself. He had to rely on his strength, he had to rely on Gohan's, and he had to rely on a little bit of Krillin's, and just a little bit of luck from Yajirobe. But vice of that, Vegeta's introduced as a strong character, independent, who seems to stay back in the series, because at the end, Krillin decides not to kill Vegeta due to their victory in the battle, because Goku decides that he doesn't want him dead at the time. And when Vegeta escapes, all hell breaks loose. But that's just the introduction of Vegeta. If I was going to summarize Vegeta up until the point in the series, from the Frieza saga, then the Cell saga, then the Buu saga, it would be a whole hell lot. But just from these arcs in DBZ and these three main storylines in DBZ, you can see how much Vegeta's character progresses and how his relations with others change as well. Now, this is going to change because at the beginning we see Vegeta as a cocky, powerful, and dick prick. But as we go and transform to Earth, and then we heading towards planet Namek, where the Frieza saga will begin, we get to see Vegeta being more lenient, but he still has that cocky, arrogant side. And then as we learned, his backstory is facilitated by vengeance towards Frieza because what he did to his warrior planet. And to a guy who looked like a prick then, we get to see more of a guy now who has pride in his people and who has love for what he originally had. So he has culture, he has a value system, which is very important for an antagonist slash someone you're trying to convert inside of a series. And during the time, it was very much essential to get that backstory and to feel for Vegeta, even though leading up to his death, his first death against Frieza at the time, the fans were very much swayed to like Vegeta, to be persuaded by his actions, his reactions. But up until then, we weren't very much into Vegeta until he put himself over by having that moment, even though people would say he looked like a bitch, but I think that was necessary to introduce us to who Vegeta really is. And I call that initial character development. That's initial character development because that's the framework for what the character rolls by. But the character hadn't changed from that instance. That was an instance in where the character was succumbing to the situation because he was coming close to death. As you can see in the series, Vegeta begged Goku in order to avenge his warrior race. And he told him about the things that happened with Planet Vegeta and the Saiyans and his father. But as we know about it now, Goku really doesn't care about that, which Vegeta holds the pride for. And as the series develops, we go back, Goku, Frieza post-battle, we go back to Earth, everything's fine. Vegeta comes back, he's fine. Wish back with the Dragon Balls. We get to see Vegeta come and live amongst the Earthlings because he really doesn't have anywhere to go. He was a grunt servant under Frieza. He was working for him. He didn't have his Saiyan race to go back to, so I guess he would have went there. And he was also curious at the time to see how Kakarot, aka Goku, learned his Super Saiyan technique. By this time, Vegeta is still a cocky, arrogant prick, but we get to see more and identify with him. What makes him human for an alien race of warriors, and what makes him relatable as a character in the series. Now, if you've ever seen that cocky, brash football jock at school, and it turns out he has a sad backstory, for example, his dad's an alcoholic and his mom's just a poor stripper working to barely get them off because their dad can support the family because he's been in and out of the law, then basically the guy is reflecting onto what his culture has been. Vegeta is reflecting upon what his culture has been, and I like that realistic aspect to him because as he's suffering from knowing the fact that Frieza was certainly in hand and had an initial hand in defeating, his father, Vegeta, king of all Saiyans at the time, he had to deal with the pain that he could not defeat this entity at the time, and he had to serve under him and do his dirty work. And to a more extent, he had to harbor the pain with his fellow Saiyan warriors of Raditz and Nappa, that they could not come back to their homes and they couldn't avenge their warriors, their families, their friends, their brothers by what Frieza did. And as soon as we go much more in the series, after the Frieza saga, after Goku wins, Vegeta turns his emotions and hatred towards one individual and facilitates him towards another in Goku, because Goku was able to do what he himself, Vegeta, wasn't able to do. And as we see a change in the character for Vegeta during this time, we also see, I'd say, an emotional regression of the character. And I think, in order to make a character go high, you have to break them down and then build them back up. And I think this is what's good with Vegeta. After that, you see the Cell saga, the androids come in, and Vegeta's just been kicking out training trying hard. You know, he sees Goku's back, everybody's relying on him, but you know, he's gone away at the time, and when he comes back, he's turned into a Saiyan, and he's dependent on facing these androids. He's fine, and then once he gets to these androids, it's like, what the fuck? You know, all the strength that he's had is just over, it's done, and he feels hellacious. So now we see him go over to the hard-working guy who wants to achieve his goals, who's changed his anger and facilitation and his drive from one character to another. And now we get to see, you know, just this bad shit hanging on Vegeta again and again. With the androids, with Android 18, then later on with an imperfect cell, you know, or a perfect cell, I should say, as he beats his ass. And like I say, he retains the facts of that time, that cockiness, that arrogance. He even lets the imperfect cell absorb Android, I think, 18 in order to gain his perfect form. And he still couldn't beat them then. And even more to a fact, when Gohan and Goku came out of the hyperbolic time chamber, he had an emotional, I'd say an emotional moment. An emotional hinge in which he reacted instinctively to the death, or not the death, but the initial woundedness of his son at the time, who was future Trunks. And we got to see the dynamics of the character. But not only is this character cocky, brash, but he has a light side to him, which has a pride, and pride into where it's for himself, into those close to him, and especially for Trunks. Even though he's not an overt father, he's a standoff father, which means he lets his son do his own thing, and he's a man of himself. You know, he's not an overt father. He doesn't express love, but he will show love in those instances through what he has learned best in being a warrior. And then, as we see, most certainly, the character of Vegeta doesn't really change, but the development, but how he lives and how his lifestyle is affected by the Earthlings and Goku and the Z Fighters is great, because he comes content with the humans. He changes from a hate relationship, you know, a love-hate relationship with them. But the thing that caps it off, the thing that caps off Vegeta's development as a character in total is definitely in the Buu Saga. And I may not say a lot of things good about the Buu Saga, but I'll say this one thing. It was the most poignant arc to get Vegeta a grade of an A+ / development in my book, because I think Vegeta's development so far has been okay to meh, but in Buu Saga, he definitely had a head start, a jump start into what he was going in. Let's start it off. When we see the World Martial Arts Tournament come back after years of hiatus for strange shit happening with Goku, what we basically get is Vegeta coming into the tournament, and it's crazy because he sells his soul to a magician called Babidi in order to gain strength. And the reason why he sells his soul is because from his experiences in the Frieza Saga and in the Cell Saga, he has to succumb, like I said before, in order from having an initial enemy in Frieza to having a rivalish enemy in Goku. And he does not feel that he should have to be second best as the Prince of all Saiyan, as the egotist, as the cocky, as the brash guy that he is, in order to succumb to someone who has shown more ability to do more things than him. You know, some guy who had a power level of 2 when he was born. And for the Prince of all Saiyans to succumb to that strength, who's naturally supposed to be strong, he did not feel that he should fall below him. So he sold his soul basically in order to gain power. And I think this is a good way to tell the story of how Vegeta is further being broken down as a character so he can be built right back up. And he wanted to ignore his emotional feelings and attachments to the human world. But as we got to see, as he gave his speech towards Goku upon why he let himself be controlled, was because of the frustration he was building inside. Like I said before, building inside against the rivalry and not contempt with his strength at the time, because of his ideal fact that he thinks he must be the avenger of all Saiyans and the strongest Saiyan to compensate for his loss as a Saiyan and for his pride as a Saiyan. But as he progresses and he fights Majin Buu and he sees the strength in danger and he realizes what he's come to by Piccolo and Goku's words, then that's when that character development comes right in. Because as soon as he realizes that, as soon as that build-up comes, he goes, and then the first time, and I'll quote Vegeta, "For the first time in his life, Vegeta is fighting for more than something else. He's controlling his own fate." And he just goes in, Vegeta, man. And as he goes in and he explodes himself up, and it might have been in the smartest and it was the coolest fashion I've ever seen anybody go out. Because for someone like Vegeta, to someone to think about themselves, he risked everything to save someone's life. And I know we saw it with Goku, and we were sad when it happened with Goku in the Cell Saga, but we were so sad and electrified at the same time. But what Vegeta did, it was cooler. The music was out there. Bruce Faulkner, I fucking love you. And the dialogue that Vegeta said, he was saying to himself, the introspection that he gave to himself. He says, Bulma, Trunks, I do this for you. And yes, you too, Kakarot. Just yeah, man. And then later on, when we get to see Vegeta come back due to his failure to kill Majin Buu, man, it just goes in from there. Because as Vegeta goes and he faces Majin Buu and he has to go through these situations that he doesn't want to do, first suppressing his pride to save his others by blowing himself up, then suppressing his pride even more by putting on the Voltara earrings to make the best DBZ character out there, Vegito, and then later on to actually having an epiphany. And this is important. This is the part 2 of the poignant character development of Vegeta. As he sees Goku fight when Kid Buu is resurrected and they're transported to the abiding planet next to Earth due to the Supreme Kai, then Vegeta realizes that his ability to fight and his ability to fight on the scale of Kid Buu is not up to par with him. And then he comes to contempt and realizes that maybe I need to take a step back and let the real hero do it, Goku, and support the ones that I love. And to come from a road to where you're thinking about yourself and a road of vengeance and denial and cockiness and brashness and not identifying with your feelings, and to coming to one's acceptance and accepting of the situation and being content with others while still keeping your pride, still keeping your warrior's way, still coming intact with your roots. I think that's a coming of age story. And we might say that Vegeta's always a man, but to the character that Vegeta was years prior when he was facing Frieza is nothing like the character we got at the end of DBZ. He became a man, he became a father, he became someone who cared for others. And that's essential for developing as a character in the series. And I may want to say at one point that one of the main things that held this character back was the fact that Vegeta himself was holding his back. He was holding himself back by his rage, by his inability to know when to trust others, when to be with others, when to trust in himself, when to use his abilities. Because it was all up to Vegeta while he was using that time. But then when he finally learned the lesson of teamwork and being with others and identifying with his feelings and coming content with himself and his abilities while acknowledging that someone else is better than him and what he wants to do, then he has automatically gained the strengths he needs. And as a character, he is one of the most influential characters in the Dragon Ball Z series today. And that's why we are fans of Vegeta. That's why we love Vegeta. And that's why Vegeta is absolutely cool. And we know we like Goku. Goku's cool. He's the main male protagonist shonen type. But Vegeta, for an aspect, I would have preferred him to be the main protagonist of the story. We would have seen him rise, ball hard, and rise so much again that you get to look at him and then think about, it's like sending your son, your 18-year-old son out into the world and then thinking, damn, I did a good job, because your son's going off to a 4-year university, he's going to get a PhD, and he's going to become some big shot lawyer or doctor someday. And that's what I think about the development of Vegeta. Alright, it's been Dual Killing Anime. Like or dislike this video, it does not matter as long as you get my name out there. Hopefully I get more views for this video than my Ichigo analysis I did last week. We're in the closet. I'm going to be doing my character profiles in the closet. In the closet. But this is how we doing it with live action. Watch the video. See ya. You've had all the quality content with none of the filler, and if you don't know what that is, then you need to watch more anime. And if you don't watch more anime, and there's only one anime you're gonna watch, then watch DBZ if you haven't. Alright? Vegeta for the motherfucking win. I give this character a very good B+, A-, A A+. It doesn't matter what type of grade I give him because he is so epic. See you guys. Bye.